And welcome to King 5 Plus. I'm Greg Copeland, and this is The Week, a look at what made headlines in our region, along with your weekend forecast and a little something to put a smile on your face. First up, the massive layoffs at Amazon, mostly corporate. The company cites the rise of artificial intelligence, framing AI as part of a broader strategy. We learned that 2,300 workers will be cut in Washington state. It's part of 14,000 layoffs all across the country. And that is just the first wave as we understand it. King 5 Sebastian Robertson explains what is driving these changes.
Amazon executives say they're all in on AI, confident they can continue to grow with fewer people. This round of cuts impacts about 14,000 corporate employees worldwide.
They are one of the most valuable companies on the planet, and they seemingly lay off employees en masse once a quarter. And it just isn't fair to the employees that do make them all of their money and don't seem to get rewarded for it.
Seattle's largest employer confirmed the layoffs in an internal memo, calling AI the most transformative technology we've seen since the internet. The memo says the technology is allowing Amazon to operate faster and leaner. Some newly jobless employees took to social media.
I was laid off by Amazon. I was one of the 14,000 employees that were affected today. They sent out an email at 5 a.m. Seattle time. The thing so that people don't have to go to the office if they are laid off. I'm still processing what just happened.
Amazon experienced a massive hiring boom during the pandemic, but has implemented multiple waves of layoffs since 2022. While major job cuts would historically spook investors, experts say this time is different.
You're seeing the stock market applaud these cuts because it signals, hey, maybe they can rely on AI, maybe they can operate more efficiently, and maybe they can go forward with a lower payroll.
A trend Schulman fears could be repeated across the broader tech sector.
AI is changing how people get information, how they process information, how they create content, and so we're seeing that could all be done much more efficiently than ever before, and so it requires far fewer people.
The latest discussion on ICE arrests took us to Issaquah this week. Those arrested included a mother who was pulled over by ICE and then allowed to drop her child off at preschool before being taken into custody there. Also, a popular video game is being used to recruit ICE agents, and there are a lot of critics. King 5 Sharon Yu has both of those stories.
The Issaquah community has been on edge ever since those two ICE arrests happened in public. The lawmakers here say they heard those concerns loud and clear, and some are leaning on state lawmakers to do something.
I call the October 27th special city council meeting to order.
ICE arrests and enforcement activity was top of the agenda at Monday night's Issaquah City Council meeting. The police chief explained the city's stance on resident interactions.
When our officers interact with residents or visitors, we do not ask about immigration status.
But given the ICE arrest of Diana Romero at the Learning Nest last week and the arrest of another person at the McDonald's off of East Sammamish Parkway Tuesday morning, questions still loom about the city's next moves. Kelly Jang is an Issaquah City Council member.
As a city, we are a little bit limited in what we can do, and that's why I've been calling on our state legislators to step up and pass laws that protect our communities. For example, by requiring all law enforcement to not wear a mask and be able to show, badge IDs and their names.
While Issaquah is not specifically identified as a sanctuary city, Washington State is, and its Keep Washington Working law prevents any local law enforcement from assisting or working with federal immigration agencies.
But I definitely think that there's more that can be done, whether it be, at the individual level, city level, and state level to protect all of our community members.
Issaquah Mayor Mary Lou Pauley said in a statement she, quote, recommended that the city council approve a budget amendment to allocate $50,000 in additional grant funding to support immigration services. Jang says she supports that amendment and urges others to do the same.
This is taking priority now, and so that's why we need to step up and support our organizations, not just, as a city, but also as a community.
We have reached out to ICE to ask about those two arrests from the past week, but we haven't heard back. In Issaquah, Sharon Yu, King 5 News. This is the image in question. It shows a character from the game with the words "Destroy the Flood," which is a type of enemy in the extremely popular video game called Halo. In this game, you destroy the flood of space aliens by shooting and killing them. And for that to be used by ICE, the original developers say it is distasteful.
There are too many, Sarge! Don't even think about it, Marine.
A horde of aliens starts to attack a group of military men. This is the whole premise of Halo, to save humanity from aliens. This month, ICE started using the game's image and the words "Destroy the Flood" on a social media post aimed at enticing people to sign up to be an agent. Dr. Chris Paul, a Seattle U communications professor, says the parallels made are disturbing.
They want to be seen as hip and cool and edgy, right? And I think this does hip and cool and edgy. I think it also, I don't want people who are looking to shoot things in ICE.
Halo is a military science fiction video game series. Microsoft's Xbox Game Studios developed it. It's extremely popular with the same age group ICE would target for recruitment.
A company's product has been appropriated. At the same time, a number of the Halo creators or originals on the Halo team have said that this is not what they stand for.
So this is from Halo 3.
Jamie Griesmer is the former lead designer on Halo. He says during Halo's 24 years of existence, people have used it to make arguments for or against many things.
Halo's been used to make points about the Iraq War or about trade or politics. It's pretty common and usually doesn't bother me.
But the use this time around, he had different thoughts.
I think it's actually very clever of them because it reaches the exact young men between 20 and 40 demographic that they're looking for. It's the direct connection between how you stop the alien menace with violence and destruction and how you need a much more sophisticated and careful approach when you're dealing with immigration that I found particularly callous.
Sharon, you reporting there. For the second time in a week, Alaska Airlines passengers faced major check-in problems. This time it was tied to a Microsoft cloud outage, which knocked out the airline's website and also the app. Alaska told us on Wednesday that the issue had been fixed, but it left some travelers scrambling at SeaTac Airport. Here's Sebastian Robertson once again.
It's not working.
I'm going to Maui.
Oh, nice.
I know it. I hope I don't miss my flight.
Alaska Airlines passengers hoping to fly out of SeaTac found themselves unable to access their boarding passes Wednesday morning.
Well, it asked me to sign in, and then when I click on the sign in, it just does nothing.
For the second time in 1 week, Alaska Airlines endured tech problems, which grounded its website. The airline blaming the issue on Microsoft, the company acknowledging an issue with Microsoft Azure, a cloud-based platform where several Alaska and Hawaiian airline services are hosted.
We just saw the lines and we figured something was up. And this morning I tried to check our flight and I noticed that the website wasn't working. But I didn't know, what was wrong. So, yeah, we got here at 9 and we're just now got checked through.
This outage comes less than a week after an Alaska nationwide ground stoppage. Last Thursday, the airline says an internal IT problem grounded hundreds of flights nationwide for about 8 hours, impacting nearly 50,000 customers.
Frustrated, annoyed, bothered.
SEA Airport says Wednesday's outage only impacted Alaska Airlines and had minimal impact on overall airport operations, adding the issue has been resolved.
Okay, come with me.
Passengers, though, now bumped to later flights, are still dealing with the fallout.
I'm actually traveling with my mom, so I sent her ahead of me on our original flight because I had sent her a copy of her boarding pass last night, but I didn't catch mine, so I couldn't pull up my app today to access mine. So I'm just taking the next flight out.
So Alaska was also the focus of a complaint from a disabled veteran who says the airline needs to take better care of passengers with disabilities. He says he wasn't allowed to fly back to Seattle last month because of an issue with his wheelchair that wasn't his fault. Jim Nelson sat down with him.
This passenger is worried that this might be a part of something bigger, a systemic issue. He reached out to us after we aired a story a couple of weeks ago about another passenger who says he was humiliated by an Alaska Airlines flight attendant over his use of hearing aids.
It steers kind of like a skid steer does.
Stan Smith can get just about anywhere in his chair, and it can do just about anything.
The transformer mode.
And thanks to a little paperwork,
this is basically what was on the data card for the wheelchair.
Air travel isn't usually a big deal. Last month, he and his wife flew from SeaTac to Las Vegas. There was only a minor issue along the way.
They broke off a taillight and lost the data card.
That card explains what's in and on the chair, specifically info about the lithium-ion battery. Essentially, it tells airline staff it's safe to be checked. The big issue was 4 days later, when it was time to go home.
They started refusing very rudely to load my wheelchair on the return flight.
Smith says the wheelchair manufacturer even texted him a copy of the data card, but the staff in Vegas wouldn't budge.
My wife was crying. I was stuck, feeling like, okay, because I'm disabled, it's my fault we're in this situation and stuck.
Eventually, he gave up and went to Delta. $1,800 later, he was booked and allowed to travel with them.
Completely wiped out to the point where I couldn't even get out of bed the next day.
He believes Alaska Airlines violated the Air Carrier Access Act.
If somebody that has the knowledge and background that I do with the ADA can't get through the system without just getting, for lack of a better term, dumped on the sidewalk in front of an airport, what are they doing to people that don't have my knowledge and background? I'd like to see them do the right thing in more of a timely manner. Just
a right to travel as anybody else is traveling.
Equal access to the ability to travel.
So again, still waiting to hear back from Alaska Airlines on this particular issue. However, in a previous statement, the airline said that it takes any claim of discrimination seriously. At SeaTac, Jim Nelson, King 5 News.
When we come back, meteorologist Adam Claiborne has a look at a very wet weekend for Seattle and beyond with another atmospheric river headed in. And then inside the mind of Travis Decker, what led him to kill his 3 girls. The exclusive interview with a forensic psychologist who worked the case.
All right, everyone, a pretty busy weekend ahead. It looks like we are going to be in first alert mode on into Saturday, and we're expecting some heavy rain and winds to be really the focal point of that forecast as we head throughout that stretch of time. So let's get right into it. We're going to be in first alert mode through the rest of Friday night and into Saturday for the potential for some of this heavy rain to create and produce some flooding. That will be more isolated in nature, but we're going to talk about which spots have the better opportunity of seeing that here in a second. And yes, again, another round of wind that could produce power outages. Now, will they be to the same extent as what we saw last weekend and last Saturday? I don't think that's going to be the case, but definitely going to deal with some power outages as we head on into that stretch of time. All right, your forecast here as we go over the next 7-day stretch does remain active. It just looks like here into Saturday we're going to see the most rain and the heaviest wind to deal with here over that 7-day stretch. All right, here's that system that's moving through the area. Friday night into Saturday, this thick band of rain will continue to produce some pretty hefty amounts of rain through the area. Once we head on into more Saturday, this is when we're expecting this piece of energy right here to help to produce the second push of some heavier rain as well as some of the stronger winds that we're expecting into that time. Now, with that being the case, advisories are out. Wind advisories are going to start up at 9 o'clock Saturday morning and last through 5 p.m. heading into Saturday evening. Now, this will include all the areas that you see there shaded in that brown tannish color. And winds will be generally between about 10 to 20, but we are going to get the potential for some of those gusts to get up closer to about maybe 45 miles per hour. Again, pretty resembling a lot of what we had last week. Another thing, too, is the potential for flooding. And where you see all those counties shaded in the green, that's where we have the higher potential of maybe seeing some of this flooding, and that's where we have those flood watches that are out for the area. Now, within those spots, expect rain to come down heavily, create and cause some of this isolated flooding. To go along with that, the higher snow levels mean that more of that water will flow down from the higher terrain and into some of those streams, those creeks, and those rivers. That is going to give us the opportunity of maybe seeing some of those higher waters at that point. All right, back to the wind. We expect the winds to start to ramp up late tomorrow morning and into early tomorrow afternoon. That's 10 o'clock. Where you're seeing the purple is where you have some of those gusts getting closer to 40, 45, maybe even 50 miles per hour. And it's at this point that we're going to keep an eye out for maybe the potential for more power outages. That's going to hang with us until about 2 or 3 tomorrow afternoon, and I think about 3:30 or 4 is when we see the worst of the winds out of here, and things should start to improve after that. To go along with that, yes, we are expecting to see winds really start to ramp up into that time. Just kind of another look at that, how it comes in from the south and from the west into tomorrow morning. And the rain, well, boy, you can see that just coming down heavily Friday night into Saturday, where you see the yellows and the oranges. That's some heavier, steadier rain, and we keep that around at least into Saturday evening, where it could put down maybe another inch, possibly inch or two of rain here down across the area. Another reason why we're concerned about the flooding potential here across western Washington. All right, here's your 7-day forecast, everyone. Looks like we are going to be in first alert mode into Saturday. Afterwards, not as much rain as we fall back. Don't forget to fall back heading into the day on Sunday, and we expect to see more rain ahead as we head into next work week, as well as we keep this active pattern going. All right, everyone, try to stay safe this weekend. Stay dry, too, and we'll see you next week.
Welcome back to The Week. I'm Greg Copeland. It is one of the most notorious crimes in Northwest history. Police believe Travis Decker killed his 3 girls before disappearing into the mountains, leading to a nationwide manhunt. For the first time, the woman who cracked the case tells her behind-the-scenes story of how it all happened. She sat down for an exclusive interview with Eric Wilkinson.
As a forensic psychologist, it's Dr. Stacy Chiquette's job to unpack the most horrific of crimes.
Investigators don't call me for your standard kind of child abuse case.
Dr. Chiquette was on duty helping investigators working on the suffocation murders of the 3 Decker girls cope with their own emotional trauma when she quietly offered her services. Chiquette works in private practice and is one of only a handful of people in the world with her level of expertise. When she started looking at the file, she knew this case would be one of her most difficult.
It's like putting together a puzzle when you don't know what the picture is and you don't have all the pieces.
To piece that puzzle together, Dr. Chiquette examined Decker's books and journals, learning everything she could to put herself in the killer's head.
I want to know about their entire lives, and I also want to know about their secret lives. That's the only way to really do this work, is to become that person in every sense.
After more than 3 months and 7,000 square miles of fruitless searching, Chiquette led investigators to Decker's remains, just 3/4 of a mile from the crime scene. Chiquette says people in Decker's state of mind typically fight, flee, or freeze. It appears he chose the latter.
It is not uncommon for individuals that have a pretty significant mental health problem to experience that kind of freeze response, where their mind kind of goes blank, they can't think through things. It's not uncommon for us to find them relatively close to where the crime occurred.
Of course, the constant question here is why? Why did Travis Decker do what he did? We asked those questions, and the doctor believes she has a pretty good idea, but there are some things she says she simply can't talk about. How do you go from having issues to murdering your 3 children? Why would he want to stay so close?
We don't want to say something that is speculative, but then the words are out there, and those words hurt people in real time.
There are certain things that are private. This is Grindstone Mountain.
For reasons she can't yet specify, Chiquette led search crews to a specific area on Grindstone Mountain.
She even guesstimated about what elevation we were looking at, and we really appreciate her insight.
Within a day, they found his remains along with a green t-shirt and shorts. There was no weapon, no suicide note. The Army Ranger with survival training appeared unprepared or unwilling to survive at all.
There are also ways that people can passively choose to die, whether that's, not eating or drinking, whether that's exposure to the elements without proper attire, but there's a lot of ways that people can do that.
Dr. Chiquette stresses only Travis Decker knows the answers to these questions. She believes the killings were likely not the result of any single event, rather the response to an alternate reality created by mental illness that none of us can fully comprehend.
I wish I knew. I wish I knew what he was thinking and feeling and experiencing.
While the Decker case is officially closed, the why will always haunt Dr. Stacy Chiquette.
It will never be done. It will follow the family and many other people for the rest of their lives. But at least having the closure of locating Decker is a small a small gift in the journey towards healing and closure.
Eric Wilkinson, King 5 News.
Federal agents say they have dismantled a major drug and gun trafficking network operating across western Washington. Agents seized tens of thousands of fentanyl pills and dozens of guns. This was a secret year-long operation that the U.S. Attorney's Office in Seattle made public on Wednesday. And King 5 investigator Chris Ingalls shared the details with us that evening.
The Justice Department says agents arrested 10 people. They're accused of trafficking fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin in western Washington. And take a look at what else the feds say they were peddling. Lots of firearms. DEA and Seattle police seized more than 30 guns, some of them high-powered assault-style weapons, during the execution of 12 search warrants yesterday and today. They arrested the 10 suspects from as far north as Marysville down to Centralia in Lewis County. Authorities say one stash house in Centralia, they found 25 kilos of fentanyl powder inside and more than 90,000 fentanyl pills, a big number. They say all of this is linked to a suspect named Jose Sandoval Zuniga, who lists a Sammamish address. They say Zuniga was arrested in his vehicle with 1.5 kilos more of suspected fentanyl, and they found more drugs and a gun at his home. The press release from the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Seattle says this operation was part of an operation to eliminate a cartel as part of Operation Take Back America, a DOJ program to, quote, repel the invasion of illegal immigration. However, the release does not specifically identify any of the suspects as undocumented. The 10 suspects made their first appearances in court yesterday and today. I'm Chris Ingalls in the King 5 newsroom.
Well, it's a major milestone for Sound Transit, and as Brady Wakayama shows us, soon light rail riders will be able to travel seamlessly from Linwood all the way down to Federal Way.
One line to Eagle Lake Station at northbound platform in 2 minutes. Please stand behind the yellow line.
I feel like it's going to bring in a lot of great things for us here.
Great things come to those who wait. For Michelle Sparks, the owner of this fitness studio across from the new downtown Federal Way station, the 5 years it took to build was well worth it.
I think it's great. It happened overnight for me personally, you know, being a business owner right here in front of it.
Starting December 6th, this station and 2 other stations that include Kent Des Moines and Star Lake will expand the one line another 8 miles. The $2.5 billion project will also add more than 3,000 parking spaces. Sound Transit expects up to 19,000 to 24,000 riders a day.
It's going to help, our small local businesses grow. It's going to, like I said, bring in more commuters who find this more of an affordable place to live and easy transportation into the bigger cities where they're working.
Our purpose is to knit together this region.
Sound Transit CEO Dow Constantine calls it a game changer, boosting access and growth across South King and North Pierce counties.
Gives people time back, time that they currently waste in traffic, and it helps build community. Around these stations grow up housing and retail, community spaces. They build communities.
And the opening day celebration will start at 9:30 in the morning. That's Saturday, December 6th. Meanwhile, the new station services will begin at 11 that same day. In Federal Way, Brady Wakayama, King 5 News.
And finally for you, something to smile about. At Overlake Medical Center, tiny trick-or-treaters are stealing the show. Look here, the NICU team is keeping Halloween tradition alive, dressing their newest patients in adorable costumes. Couple sluggers here suited up as Seattle Mariners. Another pair took on the costumes of Mario and Luigi. You'll see them right there. The others transformed into got a zebra, we've got a butterfly, and even a very popular one, the Costco hot dog. Touch of Halloween magic for some of the hospital's tiniest heroes. They do it every year, and we love it every year. Thanks for your time. We hope you'll join us every Friday evening for another look at the biggest stories of the week.